Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my BookTube spin video for the fourth and final quarter of 2025. Which, yikes, it sounds really scary when you put it like that, except to say we're at the beginning of the quarter, so maybe not too near the end of the year yet. But anyway, the BookTube spin was brought to BookTube by Rick McDonnell. He was inspired by a blogging meme convention where book bloggers would create a list of 20 books by whatever parameters they'd like, although usually in categories, 4 categories of 5 books apiece. And so they would share that list, and then they would spin a wheel, and whatever number they landed on would correspond to one of the books on their list, and that's the book they would read. I've been playing this game for a couple of years now, and I've tweaked rules as I've went along. I do have 4 relatively fixed categories every time I play each quarter. The first one is Jewish romance, the second one is general literature, the third one is science fiction, and the fourth one is fantasy. And so the first thing I've done to spice things up a little is I spin 3 times, and then I choose the book that I've read from the least recently from this game. And as you can see here, the category I read from least recently is science fiction. In fact, it's been quite a while since I've read from science fiction. I was hoping to get this category last quarter, but the wheel didn't play nice with me, and I got fantasy instead, which I still like, but I need me some science fiction, and I'm even gunning for it harder now that I want to get a science fiction pick this quarter. Another thing I've done in playing my game is I've put my thumb on the wheel a little bit because I have a bunch of books in this game that have been on my list for years by this point, and I want to get to reading them. And so I've decided every time I spin a number and choose it for this game this year, I have taken it off of the wheel. So I'm not technically playing with 20 books. This quarter, in fact, I'm playing with 17 books as a way to hopefully influence the results I'll ultimately want. But at the end of my spins, I'll go ahead and do an audience spin in case you want to play but want access to all 20 numbers. So that's most of my administrative notes. The final one would be that I just did recently choose this book, Search by Michelle Hunevan. I played another TBR game and this book came up. This was a long-standing book in general literature in that category for me. So it's one of the big changes I made in my upcoming list. I swapped this book out for a new one that you'll hear about now. Because without further ado, before I get into the spinning part, I'm going to give an overview of all of the books on my spin list. Starting with category number 1, which is Jewish romance. Book number 1 is Imogen Obviously by Becky Albertalli. This is YA romance with nominally Jewish characters. Imogen, a senior in high school, thinks she's a straight LGBTQ ally. But when new relationships have her questioning her sexual identity, she's accused of identity appropriation. Seems kind of hard-hitting about policing others in the name of social justice. Number 2 is Recommended for You by Laura Silverman. Bookseller Shoshana is gunning for a holiday bonus, but the only thing standing in her way is annoying, non-literary, hot Jewish bachelor, Jake Kaplan. I think we know where this goes. Book 3, I am nixing as my quarter 2 pick, so that goes to Book 4, Marry Me by Midnight by Felicia Grossman. After her father's untimely death, Isabella must secure a marriage outside of the powerful Barab family in order to maintain her own influence in the family company. Could Erin Ellenberg, the community outsider, answer her prayers? This is a Jewish Victorian gender-bent Cinderella retelling. And then book number 5 is Meant to Be Mine by Hannah Orenstein. Edie's grandmother Gloria predicted the exact date Edie would meet her beshert, Yiddish for soulmate. But although she meets an attractive musician at the right time, Edie finds out that predetermination isn't as simple a concept as she believed. What if a relationship includes some rocky waters as well? Next we move on to general literature, starting with book number 6 that I'm nixing as my quarter 1 pick. Then we move on to Book 7, The Island of Missing Trees by Alif Shafak. Spanning several decades, we start with an illicit love affair between a Greek Cypriot and a Turkish Cypriot. We follow war and displacement and commentary on the natural world. Book 8 is The Road to Dalton by Shannon Bowring. In 1990's Dalton, Maine, one community member's actions leads to her neighbors grappling with the big and small conflicts in their lives. Number 9 is The Other Wes Moore by Wes Moore. My governor, a successful Black American, tracks down an imprisoned drug dealer who shares his name, age, roughly, and city of origin. This is a testament to what helps kids succeed and fail. And book 10 is Dolls of Our Lives by Mary Mulhooney and Allison Herrocks. The hosts of the Dolls of Our Lives podcast discuss the origins and legacy of the American Girl brand. Now we move into science fiction with number 11, Provenance by Anne Leckie. A fugitive looks to reclaim stolen treasure in space and finds herself embroiled in an alien plot, literally. Number 12 is Ancestral Night by Elizabeth Bear. A routine salvage mission in space goes awry when an ancient technology is uncovered. Number 13 is Pushing Ice by Alastair Reynolds. A rockhopper crew is tasked with tailing one of Saturn's moons as it breaks orbit and leaves the solar system. Number 14 is Lightness by C.A. Higgins. Computer scientist Althea is closer to her spacecraft than any of its crew, but she must put her surveillance skills to the test to foil a terrorist plot. And number 15 is On the Edge of Gone by Corinne Doivas. As a comet moves to strike Earth, our teenage protagonist fights against an unjust system to survive. And finally, we have fantasy, starting with number 16, A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. This is a YA classic about a young sorcerer who tampered with long-held secrets and unleashed a terrible shadow onto the world. Book 17 is The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. A man discovers his fate is tied up with that of an empire, and he may be here not to save the world, but destroy it. Book 18 I'm nixing as my quarter 3 pick. Book 19 is A Queen in Hiding by Sarah Kozloff. An orphaned princess becomes a guerrilla fighter and must assemble a group of rebels to take back the kingdom. And finally, book 20 is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. A young peasant girl discovers she has an unearthly power, but the war she fights for her god may cost her her humanity. Okay, and now we get to the fun part, the 3 spins. So here I have my wheel, and I'm starting with spin number 1. Well, thank you, wheel. I suppose if you whine enough, you shall receive, because book 11 on my list is in science fiction. It is Provenance by Anne Leckie, so huzzah! I got what I wanted. However, just to, keep things fun and exciting, I'm going to do my 2 additional spins, and then at the end, if I happen to get another science fiction choice or 2, I'll have to, do something else to decide on a winner. But let's see how this goes. Okay, here we move on to spin number 2. Well, spin number 2 is in Jewish romance. It's Imogen Obviously by Becky Albertalli, which is not science fiction, so far spin 1 stands. But finally, we'll try spin number 3. Let's see what we get. Well, what do you know? I did, in fact, get a second science fiction pick with this one. This one will be Pushing Ice by Alastair Reynolds. So now I do have to decide which of the 2, spin number 1 or spin number 3, I'm going to go with. And the metric I've decided to go with is, do I already own the book or not? So with that in mind, I am going to be reading Provenance by Anne Leckie, which I have indeed had on my shelves for years now. So it feels extra special to be taking it off for that reason as well, and to finally be getting to this book. I've read a fair amount of Anne Leckie science fiction, mostly set in this universe. I'm not sure if this is her most famous of the works that's set in this space universe she created, but I do want to give it a go. But before I sign off, I have refreshed my wheel, and I have all 20 numbers back on for the audience spin in case you'd like to play along. So here we go. So there we have it, book number 3, which actually is one of my next books, but for you, if you would like to play with that one, well, I hope you enjoy what you put in that spot. And that about covers it for me now. I will leave Goodreads links for all of the books I referenced listed down below, as well as a playlist for all of my TBR games that I've played with the BookTube spin and with my other monthly game that I play. Speaking of which, expect me back on this channel to play that game for October. That is my page 112 tag pick, where I pick 3 books randomly from my physical TBR and then read page 112, discuss their merits, and then choose the best one to join my month's TBR list. Stay tuned for that. I hope you are enjoying the books you're accumulating for yourself, whether it's through TBR games or other means. And thank you to Rick McDonnell for bringing this game to my attention. It's been a really fun way to spend these last few years every quarter. So yeah, and in addition, thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.